This is a strange feeling for me. Honorable political leader and leader of the opposition, Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, my former colleague in the 8th Parliament, Trinidad and Tobago. On opposite side. Members of the United National Congress, members of Parliament, members of the head table on the rostrum. I left politics in 2010 after I lost Mr. Volney. And in 2011, I couldn't get a job in Trinidad, so in 2011, I got a job in Barbados. So I've been living in Barbados since 2011. So, honorable political leader, you left the imported Trini for last. So I came in yesterday, and I'm thankful for being invited to share in this forum. So I'm not here as a former member of the PNM Parliament. I'm not here as a member of the United National Congress. I'm here as a concerned citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. So there's a Kennedy Swaratsingh before 2010 and a Kennedy Swaratsingh after 2010. Before 2010, as I spent over 30 years in public life, spent 20 years as a Catholic priest. I joined the seminary, Monks and Benedict, when I was 18. I was ordained in 1991. Spent 13 years as a parish priest. During that time, I joined the army. I'm the only Roman Catholic priest to serve in uniform. I left the army at the rank of major. Worked in Massey for a while. I was an executive at Massey. Then, of course, I was asked to run for St. Joseph, my hometown. I went to Boys RSC school right up the hill. In my days, this wasn't even built. In fact, I remember when Randolph Burroughs shot Guy Hayward in the river in the 1970s. Some of you wasn't even born yet. But anyway, St. Joseph is my hometown. And in St. Joseph, I see Clarita Rivas there. Clarita taught me Patro when I was about 9 years old. In St. Joseph, one of the things that was instilled in us is a deep love for our country, a deep love for what happens to our country. That's why St. Joseph is not just the first capital. It is also a place that we really grew up wanting and living. I mean, in our days, we used to really enjoy the fruits of what it is to live in a beautiful country. But over the last 10 years, I haven't been living in Trinidad, but I've worked in the international field. So after 2010, when I went to Barbados, at that time, the government of Barbados went through a series of downgrades. And the Labour Party was in government. Chris Sinclair was the Minister of Finance. And I was asked to help. And so during that time, when the government of Barbados was having very difficult economic times, it was when the Latin American Development Bank, CAF, reached out to me, and we were able to buy shares for Barbados to join CAF. And the reason I'm going through all of this history is because one of the most important things in any economic strategy of a country is to find ways in which you could finance not just the infrastructure, because when my brother Kevin talked about the injection required in exploring and continue to develop the energy sector, you need capital for that. One of the difficulties that we have had in Trinidad and Tobago is that we have lost our preeminent place as the financial powerhouse of the Caribbean. One of the difficulties in Trinidad and Tobago is that the rank and file and the very marginalized people are suffering even more and being pushed further down that scale. One of the difficulties in Trinidad and Tobago is that even if we were to invest in some of these projects now, it will still take a while for these projects to come to fruition. So in the immediate term, we have to give people hope. We have to give people confidence. We have to be empathetic. And the only representative of that we can find in the political scenario today is the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar. So I am here as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, not just to give her my endorsement, but to give her my ideas. So idea number one, when you see, for example, that I was assisted Barbados with CAF, at that time, in 2013, 2014, during that time, the only other country that made an investment for the future of its people was the United National Congress. Because at that time, Winston Ducaran was Minister of Finance. I struggled to buy 50 million US shares for the government of Barbados. In fact, First Citizens Bank in Port of Spain assisted me to help buy those shares for the government of Barbados. And then we processed loans from CAF to repay that loan. But during that time, before that, the Heritage and Stabilization Fund was established as a future investment into our country. The only other government that made another future investment was the United National Congress. Winston Ducaran bought 325 million US dollar shares in CAF at that time, if my memory serves me right. Now, what that means is that when a country puts or buys shares in CAF, that country is entitled to 4 times their share subscription as a country exposure. I can tell you because at that time I had to resign as a consultant with CAF and represent Trinidad and Tobago with the Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Hilaire, at the first CAF board meeting. So during that time, when Winston Ducaran bought those shares in CAF, it means that Trinidad and Tobago was entitled to $1.2 billion US dollars in a country exposure to support its work and development. Unfortunately, the United National Congress came out of office in 2015. And so before the United National Congress government could access that money, Colum Imbert became Minister of Finance. Now, at that time, and I'm not here to bartok anybody, I'm giving you facts. Because I have no bone in my body for anything, I am not a bacchanalist. But facts are stubborn things. Now, during that time, when I finished the CAF work in Barbados, I was then asked by CAF to help Trinidad complete its entry. So I came, I met with Minister Imbert. I brought the then advisor to the president of CAF to Trinidad, and we completed Trinidad and Tobago's entry into CAF. The benefit of all that CAF that was invested in by Minister Ducaran became now available to the government of Trinidad and Tobago after 2015. And that first tranche was about 400 million US dollars. Now, because Trinidad and Tobago put in 325 million US dollar shares in CAF, Trinidad and Tobago is now a full member of CAF and sit on the board of CAF. And CAF is a $20 billion plus institution. I'm saying all of this to say, therefore, that there are so many things that are available to the government of Trinidad and Tobago that was not passed on. So one of my first suggestions is, take some of that CAF allocation, make it available to the manufacturing sector, because CAF lend at a lower rate, so that there's lower interest borrowing to expand the manufacturing sector. And also take there are 3 or 4 times I tried to help. 3 or 4 times. When we completed our CAF entry, I brought a CAF mission to Trinidad. We went to HDC. Because in the CAF allocation, I remember I talked about that $1.2 billion, you can use about 60-70% to the public sector, and you can use some for the private sector. You don't have to use all for government. So during that time, I went to HGC and I said, you know what, we did a CAF mission to HGC. We designed a program to give HDC $100 million revolving facility for housing. We spent about 3 days with them working out a whole PPP structure. I came, I invested my time, nothing happened. We also designed a program to beautify the Beatum, especially all those drainage and so on. That was one of CAF's signature program. Nothing happened. We also we had a meeting with First Citizens Bank. We offered to give First Citizens Bank a $30 million US revolving facility. US, all of this is US. Again, nothing happened. So when we talk about what is available to people, and I'm saying all of this because all the CAF borrowings thus far have been by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. I haven't shared any of that with the private sector. I haven't shared any of that with the manufacturing sector. And in CAF, if my memory serves me right again, about 12 commercial banks in Latin America are also members of CAF. So that is an agency that continues to be underutilized. And in my view, we should then, as we move forward, I recommend to the Honorable Leader of the Opposition when she becomes Prime Minister, is to get a revolving facility and it's not just, and we should move away from just doing housing and do sustainable communities with housing and make sure that people can live decently. We can't, Tatil mustn't be the only place where we treat people like people. We must give our citizens a good place to live and raise their families. The second thing, of course, is that we need to solve this, and I know my brother Dave went through a lot of that, and I'm going to repeat some of the things he said, because I go run out of time just now, let's talk plenty. But part of the FX scenario is that we have a lot of FX in the country, but it's out of the system. We need to bring it into the system and free up why it is, I work all over the Caribbean, I live in Barbados, but we have so much available to us, yet the way in which our systems have been designed and the way in which it is weighed down by bureaucracy and bacchanal, we need to free these and give the commercial banks a lot more leeway and so that people can have the confidence to bring their money back into the country. And when they go to the bank, $200, they can get the money they have in the account. So we need to fix that system. Now I see that they're meeting with banking sector and so on. We should be doing that on a regular basis. So whoever occupies the chair on behalf of Mrs. Persad-Bissessar must be someone that could not just bring confidence, but be able to listen, engage with stakeholders, deal with all the legislations and bureaucracy that will allow business to be done with greater ease. The other thing, of course, is that I am facilitating right now investment in Barbados for a group out of New York for $97 million in a new hotel that is costing $200 million. They are prepared to do another $300 million in Barbados, and we're doing a 1,000-room hotel in Jamaica. As a finance professional, I cannot believe and I cannot go to anybody to build anything that I don't know how I'm going to finish. Since when we as a people get involved in building buildings to commemorate and not operate? When you do that, what you do is that you tie up capital. You tie up public funds. The building is not in use, but we're commemorating it. If we also invest in an airport in Tobago, we have to invest in Tobago itself. Because to grow an airport, to grow the commercial value of an airport, you have to have rooms. Look, in Barbados right now, one of that project is an airport that I'm dealing with, and Barbados is building about a hotel, and they're building about 3 more hotels, including a Four Seasons, that's going to come in the future. But because Jamaica just opened a 3rd airport in Negril, and now they're building, and their hotels, they are 1,000 rooms. So think about infrastructure. We have to think, we're going to build this, how are we going to grow it? And if we can't grow it, then why are we building it? My friend Kevin mentioned the refinery. Suriname is about to take off with their oil and gas sector over the next few months. No refinery. Guyana has taken off, no refinery. We have a refinery here, and we decide to shut it down. Now, as I said, the Kennedy after 2010 have been working across many governments and countries in the international space. I have financed and I have helped finance a number of things. My last financial undertaking with the government was in St. Lucia, when I helped the government of St. Lucia get a 40 million loan from Republic Bank in Port of Spain. I, as a professional, must tell you this. I turned 60 last year. I have lived in Barbados for the last 15 years. I a humble fella, I a small fella. I had to go and get a suit because I gave away all my suits after 2010. I gave away all. I didn't plan to put back on a suit, and so when I was invited to come here, I had to go and find a suit. And I'm happy with my short pants and my rubber slippers in Barbados. I was walking with a nip of rum. I don't drink, but I smell it every now and then. And Madam Leader, I don't get a good roti across there. I had to come back here. So I'm saying all of that because the other thing that is important is that we have to spend on infrastructure. But how we have been spending is not the only way to spend. So I also did in Barbados, I did a government-to-government arrangement with the government of Canada to Barbados had 22,000 stock meters, and we replaced those meters and so on. And the project wasn't implemented as well as I would have liked, but I got the financing for it. And I'm saying all of that, say that there's a lot of capital globally looking for a home. There are many ways in which we could fund infrastructure projects. There are many assets like Petrotrin that we have underutilized. We need a second sovereign wealth fund. And we can use some of our assets to develop that. You have real solutions for people who want to work, who want to be innovative, who want to be imaginative. And if Mrs. Persad-Bissessar can do that, then voting for her and the UNC is like orchard juice, a perfectly natural choice. We don't have to sit down. And so our role is not to look and say, listen, you know, all of these things, they're wrong. They're not going anywhere and so on. But there are solutions. There are solutions for people who want to be serious about taking our country forward. This is not about Bacchanal and Movilang. This is just about facts. We need to make sure that whatever time we have, and this is my own mantra, whatever time I have left on this earth, I want to make this place better for my children and their children's children. For the last 15 years, I am sure none of you would have remembered me because I have not ventured, I have not come forward, I have not spoken, I have not gotten involved. And as I said, I have no axe to grind with anybody. My two children are now big enough. I spent the last 15 years, when we left Trinidad to go to Barbados, stop me when you're ready to stop me, please. When we left Trinidad to go to Barbados, they were 2 and 4. They are now 18 and 16, and they're in Canada studying. So I have a little time on my hands. So when I was asked to come, I put some thought in it and said, you know what? I have kept quiet. I have stayed out of the people's business. I don't have a suit, and if I go in my short pants and my rubber slippers, and it ain't gonna look good. So why go? We who know better have an obligation to do better. We could sit down and play this game, and I'm sure probably by tomorrow, everybody could be calling me and saying, where's Swaratsingh? He gone because he... I ain't here to eat our food. I ain't here because of anything I was promised. I was asked to come and give my thoughts, and I'm here to give those thoughts for whatever it's worth. I am here because in my beautiful community of St. Joseph, that there comes a time when we have to say, enough is enough. Move aside and give some serious people an opportunity to do what they have to do. In the immediate future, once the UNC takes over government on 29th of April, the FX scenario could be fixed. Meet with stakeholders and find out how we could get rid of some of the bureaucracies and red tape and fix some of those situations. And give the confidence that Trinidad and Tobago we know what we're doing, and therefore we can take this country forward, and we can provide the environment for others to come in and invest. And the last thing I will say is make Port of Spain a headquarter country and get headquarters to come and set up business and create meaningful jobs for the citizens of our country. Thank you.